Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Gaming Roundup. I'm recording on Thursday, and obviously I tried to. The goal is and was to record Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and post them the same day. But I don't think that's gonna happen. What more than likely is gonna happen, I am gonna record Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but I'm not gonna post the videos until the morning after. But I'm gonna keep the names the same. Topic Tuesday, Gaming Roundup, and Saturday Sit Down. That's what the names are right now. You can see them. I have some playlists on the channel right now. And for the first episode of Gaming Roundup, I'm kind of just going to introduce myself as a gamer. I know I talked about a lot of other stuff in the last video, but this one I'm mainly going to focus on games. Whether it's news, it's mostly going to be news, but again, this first video is going to be just me introducing myself, my history with games, and then I'm going to kind of go off on Nintendo and X because I'm super hyped for that. And you'll understand why. It all started, I don't really have a number, we'll say when I was 5. And basically my uncle, he had a Super Nintendo, and he had a Final Fantasy game and Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And I know this now, but back then when I played them at his house, they were really obtuse, and I really wasn't digging them. I didn't like them, they're boring. But I also didn't really play a lot of games. I had a cousin that had the NES, I believe, and we would play Duck Hunt, Super Mario Bros. There. And then I think this same NES cousin later got a Genesis. I'm not too familiar with the Sega systems. I just know it was the one that had Streets of Rage 2, and they all had Sonic on them. So I would play Streets of Rage 2 and Sonic. Those are really fun. But we didn't actually get a system until the PS1. I mean, it was just called the PlayStation at the time. We did get the redesign of it, which I think then they labeled the PS1, but they might have already introduced the PS2 at this time. But basically, the PlayStation was our first gaming console that we owned in home, and it belonged to my older brother, but the younger siblings would still play it. And there, I really found Ape Escape to be enjoyable. I had a demo disc that had Medieval and Soul Reaver on there, or Legacy of Kain, I think that's what it's called. I might be confusing two games. Armored Core was on the demo disc. I had a lot of demo discs, and I don't know if they would give them out in stores, or they sold them, or if I just would take them from magazines in Walmart or something. But we had quite a few demo discs and a few games. My brother was really into fighting games, so he had a lot of fighting games. I wasn't into that. I was into the adventures. The demo of Crash, I enjoyed it. I never bought it, but so yeah, we kind of gamed a lot on there, but it was mostly whatever my older brother wanted, and me and my other sibling would just kind of play. We would pick and choose certain games. So I did buy Ape Escape. Part 1. I played the hell out of Toomba, but I rented that one. It was very obtuse, and then for some reason I bought Part 2, and I 100% of that one, except for a few missions. I don't remember. And so those were my favorite, and we rented a lot of games. Then as we got older, my older brother kind of fell out of gaming, or he was in high school at the time, and I was in middle school or late elementary. At this point in time, I guess I kind of took over as the gamer in the family, and my parents, I saved up money as well as my parents bought, because my parents bought me a lot of stuff. I didn't really have to save up money, but I know for this particular thing, I bought a Nintendo 64 at the end of its life cycle, as well as Paper Mario, and that was one of the best decisions ever. It was such a good game. So obviously, just to be clear, to clarify, what you're hearing is true. I never played Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Super Metroid, original Metroid, Castlevania, and I've never played any of those games at this point in the story, in my history. After the 64, though, since it was the end of the lifespan, I mean, that was expensive. If I remember correctly, it was $240, and Paper Mario was $60. It was outrageous. It might have been, I might be exaggerating. Maybe it was $140 for this system. No, I'm pretty sure it was a lot. All I know is that I don't know how the hell I was able to buy that and get a few other games. And you know what? No, yeah, we never had a Super NES. We ended up getting one later at a flea market. But after the 64, yeah, the triple competitor console market had begun. And so PS2 had been out for a while. Microsoft introduced the Xbox, and then Nintendo had announced to release the GameCube. And there really was no reason. I think, I guess a part of my personality is I'm kind of a contrarian just by nature. Well, I don't know if it's by nature, but it's just something. If I notice that there's a big fad, I tend to stay away from it. And it's just out of contrarian, like being the way I am, where I don't like to follow the, because I feel like if we're all following the same direction, we are totally ignoring all these other directions we might take. And I'd rather try one of those. But the PS2 was and is like one of the best selling consoles right now, probably behind the Wii, the original Wii, I think. I mean, I have to do some fact checking. Right now, I'm just kind of spitballing the history here. And so, I got the GameCube and the launch title, Luigi's Mansion, and then that just solidified it of like, holy crap, like, I don't know why, I love that game. And I know at the time it was getting reviewed, it was getting lukewarm reviews, like 7 and 8 out of 10s. To me, it was like a 10. Like, I don't know, that game was just perfect. Another series from the PlayStation that continued into the GameCube. My brother would play Resident Evils, and I never could. I always just watched him because they were too scary for me. And as I got older, Resident Evil 4, again, this is late, I'm fast forwarding a lot, but later in the life cycle, this is where I played, that was the first Resident Evil I had ever beaten, was Resident Evil 4. And in between I played Metroid 1 and 2, Pikmin, Mario Sunshine. I played Double Dash but didn't buy it. I'm trying to think of what else. Basically, I kind of just locked into the GameCube. And kind of from there, I kind of stuck there. But it's because I also remember at that time the PS2 was more like Jak and Daxter and God of War and Grand Theft Auto. And that never drew my attention for some reason. And I think it's because of the culture that the media created and my friends that would play that. I just didn't understand. I mean, you pick up hookers in GTA and God of War, you just fucking... Sorry, yeah, I'm gonna curse a little bit, but it's not gonna be very often. But, yeah, you kind of just cutting up all these people because your wife got killed, or... I really was removed from that scene, so looking from the outside in with very little information, I kind of just didn't understand the motivation as to why it was cool to play that. I mean, obviously, it's because we were all middle schoolers and we're doing things we weren't supposed to. We were cussing at school. Some of us were already experimenting with drugs and sex, and it's just cool to act like an adult. But to me, that seems stupid or really forced. Again, it's part of being contrarian of everybody's doing that. I don't see why I should or why I have to. So obviously, when the next generation came out, which was PS3, 360, and the Wii, I just jumped into the Wii because when the E3 was announced or revealed as the revolution, or it was revealed that it was the Wii and that it was going to be remote control, motion controlled, and all this and that. There was a lot of false promises made at the time, but it was enough to sell me as, yes, like, this is what I want from a video game console. This is the future, you know, we're all going to be samurais, we're going to be chefs, we're going to be playing tennis, it's going to be great, realistic. Obviously, when it delivered, it was none of those things, but because, again, through Nintendo messaging, they kind of got to me where I believed them of like, yeah, you know, if we just keep going the same graphical way, we're just going to end up at a plateau and we're just going to have generic games that we need to create. And partially is that I let them trick me, and another part of it is I do believe that to a very strong extent. I do think that if, again, it's part of my contrarian attitude of, I know, I've said it like 7 times already, But if we just keep repeating what history has done, we're never going to try something new, try something different. And that's kind of a running theme throughout all my episodes of just thinking outside the box to try something different. And the Wii was that for me. Again, I just jumped from GameCube to that, and so I only knew the Nintendoverse at the time. But that was enough for me. I mean, Metroid was this awesome sci-fi exploration game. Mario was fun and whimsical. And Zelda, when I bought the GameCube, I think it broke and I had to rebuy it. And I had the original indigo color or the purple lunchbox at the time. So when I rebought it, I got the black one, and it was like a Zelda collector's pack. And it had a Zelda disc on it that had like, I think 4 Zeldas on it. It had Zelda 1, 2, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time. And that's when I played most of those. I never beat Zelda 2. I didn't find it fun enough. Or it was too hard of a grind for me at the time. And even now, I don't like hard games. Which I guess, speaks to my personality type as well. I'm fairly easygoing. And it's not that I don't like conflict. I just don't like conflict for the sake of conflict. And translate that into video games, I don't like difficulty for the sake of difficulty. If there's like in Mario, if there's a bunch of jumps in a row that are tricky in order to reach the end of the level, that's fine. But if you're like purposely, I don't know, making some ledges invisible or adding enemies at inconvenient spots so that it becomes more of a memory game than an actual exploring or platforming game, then it's like, why don't you just market this to me as a puzzler instead of a platformer? It's why I can't get into Contra. It's why I can't get into a lot of games. I'm not a puzzle gamer. Which, I'm going to get back to the history right now. But yeah, I'm not a puzzle gamer. I can't sit there to think for too long in terms of puzzles because I want to have fun. I don't want to wrap my brain around. I mean, Tetris isn't fun for me. I don't know. I know that's like a classic or a very basic puzzle game. It's just, I don't like it. I do like Picross. Again, maybe that makes me more of a Nintendo fanboy or less. I don't know. I know I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but I'm also not blind, I know that the other console makers have a lot to offer. I just prefer the way Nintendo makes their games. They focus on mechanics first and then graphics, and that doesn't bother me. Mechanics doesn't equal fun. It just means that whatever I'm playing, I know it's mechanically sound. So when was I in the history? I can't remember. I think. Okay, so I was on the Wii. Yeah, we'll start from the Wii. So yeah, again, this whole thing I never regretted. I mean, when Motion Plus came out, even before then, Galaxy and Galaxy 2 were like worth it. Those could have been the only games I got, and they would have been worth it. But then they had Skyward Sword towards the end of the life cycle, which I loved. Metroid 3, which had the motion controls. Red Steel 2, which I think is what's it called? Underappreciated game. Yeah, there was just a lot of really good games on the Wii. But at this time also, my other brother, he had moved out and he had bought an old PS2. And so he was playing some games, and I wanted to borrow his PS2 specifically to play Shadow of the Colossus. Because I wanted to play that when it came out on PS2, but I didn't have one, and I wasn't going to buy a system just for one game. And I'm glad I waited. It wasn't a bad game, but yeah, if I bought the system and console just for that, I would have been pretty disappointed. But as a game that I was able to play without investing a lot of money and stuff into it, I mean, I liked it. I mean, that was an awesome game. The Wii cycle ended. Naturally, at this point, whatever Nintendo's gonna announce next, I was gonna get. But at this point also, what is it? Oh, I graduated high school from 2008, so I was 18. I think the Wii ended in 2011. Yeah, so I was a college student, not a lot of money, and I had to pick one. I mean, it still was between PS3, 360, and Wii U, but with I think maybe PS4 and 1 were already announced or out at the time. I really don't. It's hard for me to keep track of all the console dates because, again, since I only invested in the Nintendo ecosystem, I'm only gonna. I know more about that. All I know is that, yeah, I chose them because they never steered me wrong, and for me personally, I'm good. But it's also relative. I mean, relative to other people. If I was a kid in high school or middle school and I had the Wii U, I'd probably be pissed because I'd probably ask for all the other systems because when, like, there's nothing coming out for here. But in my situation where I'm really busy with college and I kind of started my family in college, um, I kind of just was always busy with work, school, and then I dropped out of school and I ended up focusing on my family and my baby to where I kind of just didn't leave myself any time to game. And with that token, like, even now I'm so behind. I had a large backlog of games that I wanted to get to. I had them in like a wish list that I wanted to buy eventually. But I mean, after a while, you gotta be realistic, and I've cut that out. Like, I guess right now we'll go ahead and transition to. Sorry, I keep rubbing my nose. It's a little itchy. But we'll transition to my current situation, which is basically slowly burning through Wii U backlog and waiting for the NX. And so yeah, I mean, right now I'm currently playing Mario and Luigi Paper Jam for the 3DS, working my way through Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. I still regularly play Splatoon. Now that I'm in control of the games I can buy more than I used to be, I kind of do pick and choose what I want to get. Obviously, I don't have the finances for Xbox One or PS4. I would have bought a PS4 around launch, but right now in this transition between Scorpio, Xbox One S, and the PS4 Slim, I think if I could buy one now, I would get an Xbox One S. But it's not just because of the features it has compared to the PS4 Pro coming out in the future or near the end of the year, I think. It also has to do with their like cross-play initiative, where you buy it as long as it's tied to your Microsoft account. The games you buy on Xbox One, you can play them on your PC, and vice versa, and the saves transfer. Like, to me, that's future-proofing, and like I kind of believe that you kind of just need a powerful PC and a Nintendo console, and you're good to go, unless you really need those exclusives. Yeah, like I said, because I'm pickier and I read a lot of reviews and news, I don't feel like I've missed out on a lot in terms of exclusives for Microsoft and Sony. For Sony, like I said, God of War just never spoke to me. Uncharted has never spoke to me. Journey is one of those things. I kind of have a particular taste in games. Besides, it's not really the Nintendo factor, it's the fun factor. And I do believe games are art. I just... Like, I hear that Uncharted is basically like a movie with a lot of quick time events. Now, obviously, there's gameplay. The people who say that, I'm pretty sure, are just oversimplifying. But that doesn't sound appealing to me. And high-res graphics or realistic graphics, no matter how realistic they get, there's always that weird uncanny valley. But right now, I'm not saying we're at the end of their life cycle, Sony and Microsoft, but right now, Horizon Zero Dawn is a game. Probably like last generation or 2 generations ago, Shadow of the Colossus. Like how that was something I kept my eye on. Horizon Zero Dawn is something I'm really interested in. Just because it's been a while. I totally skipped, but we did have a 360, and I played Gears 1 and 2. I bailed out of 3. I also had moved out of the house by then. That was my little brother's. And so I did play some 360 games, and I have a live account. It's not something, again, I didn't tie myself to it, but Gears is the series I like. And so, again, that's why I get a 1S, because Gears 4 looks pretty badass. In terms of graphics, in terms of where they're taking the story. I like how, even like God of War 4, how we're kind of just leaving the old behind and bringing in space for the new. Whether it's, a new generation of characters or just a new plot point. It has to be new, because the people who grew up with that, I'm 26. And the people who grew up with that while they were the appropriate age, they're in their like mid-30s. Like, I don't want to make anybody feel old, but you're getting old. So, and I'm getting old. So it's one of those things where right now the teenagers and middle schoolers who want to play these games, they need something else to latch onto besides, you remember Marcus Phoenix? Like, no, I don't. Like, who the hell is that? Like, they need new stuff. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut myself short, which I'm not cutting myself short at all. I'm pretty sure I've talked a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and lead into the NX and just why I'm hyped for it. I mean, it's the new Nintendo console, and it's a hybrid. And that's kind of all I have to say. The hybrid option is just something that really speaks to me. And again, it's because of my time. The handheld option is just more viable for me. I'll take my 3DS to work sometimes so that I can play it during my break or lunch. Sometimes I'll take it when we're doing errands, and if my son's eating some frozen yogurt, my wife's in the dressing room, I'll bring out my DS. Like, it's one of those things where handheld just, it fits my lifestyle. You close it, put it in sleep mode, wait till you get home, play a little more, go to bed, whatever. It fits. But, I mean, I play a lot of Monster Hunter on my 3DS. I wouldn't mind hooking that up to my TV and playing online on the couch. I mean, Monster Hunter is cool no matter how you slice it. Well, I think it is. I know it's a hard game. It's got a hard barrier of entry. But Monster Hunter is a game that I would appreciate on a larger screen with higher res graphics. It just... But now to have a console that can do that, it sounds really neat. Obviously, battery life's a problem. If they don't get the battery life right, I mean, it's going to be frustrating. But I'm still going to buy it and use it and still praise it for being a great idea, even if it falls short on some things. I have a theory that I haven't been able to prove because there's not a lot of evidence, but I think that it's going to be backwards compatible with the 3DS. The Wii U, no, but it's only because the NX uses cartridges instead of CDs. And by cartridges, we're not talking about old Nintendo cartridges. We're talking about like SDs, micro SDs. I mean, we're talking about a very different cartridge than what we grew up with in the 90s or 80s. And so I don't see why you couldn't keep it the same form factor, or obviously change it, because there was a difference between DS and 3DS with a little nubby at the top. But why you don't change the configuration so you can accept 3DS games and NX games? Because I mean, it just makes sense. They're making Woolly World. To me, it makes sense. They're making Woolly World on the 3DS. I don't see why you couldn't just be like, oh, you know what? Pop that in your NX, and you're gonna get a graphical boost and better processing power. They already do it now, from regular 3DS to new 3DS, which is a silly naming convention. But yeah, I mean, like Monster Hunter, you get faster processing, allows for just better frame rate, I believe, as well as the ability to post to Miiverse. I don't know why you can't do those things on the old one, but the fact that the card either has a piece of code or a physical modification in the card itself that lets the system know this is a 3DS game, I don't see why you can't build 3DS carts with the same software or code, so that when you pop it in your NX, it says, oh, this is a 3DS game, but I know that it has this software, so I can up-res it. Like Hyrule Warriors is a better example. The enemy count increases and the animation gets more fluid because the frame rate's able to keep up better. To me, that makes sense. You get your Pikmin 3DS, Mario Maker 3DS, and your Yoshi's Woolly World, pop those in your NX. It's basically like a mini console experience. Because I know there were rumors that they were trying to bring Splatoon, Brawl, and another game to the NX. But that might be harder because I don't know what the architecture's like or what I know they built a custom OS for it. Again, those are rumors. I don't know anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited for it. I can't wait. I don't mind that they're not talking about it. I don't understand why people mind. Like, oh, Nintendo, would you just tell us already? Because the same people who are complaining, they are frustrated at not knowing because they want to know whether to invest in it or not. But more than likely, no matter when they announce it, even if it's the day before that it's launched in March, they're gonna just like, their ears are gonna perk up and they're gonna be interested. Whether they'll buy and invest in them or not, I don't know. But I'm going to, but it's because I know what I like and I know Nintendo franchises as well as their philosophy. I just need it in my life. I don't know about, what's going forward, what's going to happen going forward, but with my purchasing habits, I do want to get like a powerful PC again, maybe bundle with an Xbox One, but at that point I don't need it, right? Because if it's cross-buy, I could just keep buying on PC, and then just, if I really wanted an Xbox One, I could just go over there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the future holds. This console I'm going to cover this in a future topic, but I don't know where the consoles are going right now. They look like they're getting iterative, like phones are, where they're just going to get upgrades every 2 to 3 years. I'll talk about what I think of that in a future episode. Like I said, I kind of just wanted to introduce myself as a gamer and just round up some NX rumors for this episode, because I know it's probably long. And yeah, I'll go ahead and cut it short here. Sorry for being so abrupt, but about cutting it short, I just, I don't want to run out of memory on my phone and it cuts me off or nothing. But like, subscribe, please share with your friends. Starting out, this is a video game set. The video game roundup happens every Thursday. Gets posted on Friday mornings or afternoons, depending on my time and work schedule. And yeah, man, give me your feedback. Whatever feedback I get from the video game roundup and Topic Tuesday, I will read and talk about on the Saturday sit down, which will be posted on Sunday. I know I should change the names, but I'm gonna leave them unless I really get some complaints of like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. You'll see the videos, right? I hope you do. Again, yeah. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys on the Saturday sit down. And yeah, I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.